Hi Aries, welcome to your October. I know it's very late Astro Tarot Scope with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Quick note, these readings are for your sun, moon and ascendant sign, though if you are only going to watch one, I do advise that you make sure it's your ascendant sign because it's going to be the most accurate. These readings are specifically designed with the astrology in mind, and so for that reason, your astrological ascendant sign is going to be the most relevant for you. It's likely to show up the strongest. Now, that being said, if you are a continued subby, you know Rafi loves you, and if you're new to my channel, please don't forget to like, share, and if you should so choose and this resonates, hit the subscribe button. And if you don't know, my weekly readings are back, so make sure you're checking those out, and obviously you can check out the weekly general as well. These all kind of fit together in a way to give you an overarching support system for the month ahead. With that said, if you want to get your personal reading with me, you can do so on the link in the description box below. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise. They help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So, the first transit that I want to take a look at on October the 3rd is Mars is going to conjunct the South Node in the sign of Libra. Now, when I saw this, I was like, yeah, this is an important one. And, you know, you being an Aries, especially if you're an Aries ascendant, this is a big deal. So this could be, because the South Node is a release point. It is, it's kind of like an ending for sure, but it's about what we've done enough to know it well and what we're now moving away from. What it is that we're ready to release. And Mars has a severing, cutting, removing kind of energy. And when it has that, when we have these two things come together, this could be something that is something that you're letting go, but you're letting go of this for good. And the reason I say that is because there's a finality with the South Node. This is something that we are fated to release, to let go of, or to move away from. So this could be a grand release of some sort for you. Mars having that severing energy, and this is all happening for you because Libra is in the space of your 7th house. So your 7th house is about partnership, collaboration, relationship, marriage, where you know, contractual agreements where you come together with people. Libra is a sign of relativity. It's a sign of relating, a sign of connecting. So you've got like a really powerful energy here in this space. And it could be that you're having like a really strong, maybe a very strong, potentially, you know, challenging conversation of some sort that leads to an ending or a releasing of a partnership, or a realization that a partnership needs to evolve if it's going to be able to continue. So in some way, shape or form, there is an evolution of your relationships here, whether this is personal, professional, platonic. It's going to show up in different ways for everybody, right? Now, for those of you that are it's also interesting as well because Mars, you are ruled by Mars, and it's in the sign of its fall, right? It's right the way across the sky from its home, which means you might not necessarily be seeing or communicating as clearly as you feel you are. Remember, it's your planet that's out of its, you know, not in a bad way, but it's like your planet is out of its depth at the moment. And so when it comes to communications around partnerships, relationships, you know, personal, professional, platonic, contractual agreements, just know that maybe, just maybe, as clear as you think you're being, you're actually not putting your thoughts, etc., ahead as clearly as you think you might be. All right, so just make sure you check in that the other party is actually understanding what you are trying to say and what you actually mean. So for this, you've got the 3 of Pentacles, you've got the High Priestess, okay, and you've got the 9 of Cups. So I love this because this could be some kind of spiritual healing or some kind of mending that comes in because of a conversation that you have. It may also be that a partner, collaborator, you know, a friend, somebody that you are really close to, you could have a conversation with somebody. You could have a conversation with someone, and it will likely be a conversation that happens behind closed doors. This may be a heart to heart. It's a very big possibility that this is like a really deep conversation that you have with somebody who you really love very much, that happens away from people, and it's like whatever is shared within that conversation has a healing effect on you and potentially them. With that Three of Pentacles, it's also possible as well that you are gaining some sort of knowledge or insight, or even maybe just a piece of information that isn't for public knowledge or consumption, and it's like it really helps you move ahead. You're getting a piece of a puzzle here in a way that you don't know about or you don't expect. So on the 9th of October, Venus is going to enter the sign of Virgo. Virgo occupies the 6th house in your chart. Venus is a sweetening energy, right? And she not only brightens the space that she goes into, but she breathes new life and brings new air into a space. And she's got this wonderful way of bringing gifts and also enhancing our own talents and allowing us to improve the specific area of life that she's going into. Now, it is said, you know, Venus moving into the sign of Virgo, she is coming into the sign of her detriment, because it's an opposite energy to the energy that she exalts in, which is Pisces. So with that said, you know, a lot of people say, like, with Venus in Virgo, she doesn't do her best work. I personally have to disagree with that. I think she does wonderful stuff there. It's just more on a practical level than anything else. Now, I think she does good work here. And I think that the blessings and the bounty that are available to you now is kind of stop and smell the roses stuff. Look at your routines, look at your rituals, look at the things that you do on a day-to-day basis. Are you doing them as best you could? How are you using the time that you have on a daily basis? Are you using it well? Are you doing things right? If you are, then you're going to see the results of this, and you get to kind of kick back for the next few weeks while you kind of just absorb, right? It's like, yeah, okay, I can chill out now. I mean, we've had Venus in the sign of Leo. It was in there for like the longest time, right? And so at this point on the 9th of October, Venus will have moved out of the sign of Leo and into Virgo, and this will be a welcome change for all of us, especially because Venus naturally rules an earth sign, the earth sign of Taurus. So she knows earth energy, all right? The other thing is as well, there's a feeling here of whistle while you work. Like while you're doing all of the stuff around the house and all the rest of it, it's going to see you really tighten up and clean up your habits, your diet potentially, and maybe even looking to solidify that work-life balance. For this, you've got the 9 of Swords, but you got to stay out of your head. Right? Really, really important that you find a way to keep on an even keel. Then you've got the Chariot card, so that's really nice. Then you've got the 5 of Wands. So the first thing that I notice is you've got the 9 of Cups and you've also got the 9 of Swords. 2 nines represents receipts. I do have to say, for that reason, around the 9th of October, it is possible that there's something that you've bought or purchased possibly while Venus was in Leo that you kind of look at now and think, you know what, I don't want this. So some of you could be returning items that you no longer want, which is a possibility. You might come up against some kind of conflict or issue with that though, where, you know, whoever you bought the item from says to you, well, you know, you can't bring it back now. We won't give you a refund. We'll just give you a credit or whatever, which always really annoys me. It's like, listen, I paid you cash. When I was purchasing the item, I paid you cash. Out here, you trying to tell me you're only going to give me a credit. You better move. Right, soapbox moment out of the way. Another way that this might show up as well is that you end up selling an item on. Now, with the 5 of Wands and the Chariot card, there is a possibility here to overdo something. And remember that the 6th house is also a house of enemies or people that don't necessarily have our best interests at heart. If you are doing something that seems to be coming up against problems, look around you at who is watching, helping or assisting you in doing whatever it is that you're trying to do, because you may spot somebody who is maybe not sabotaging you outright, but definitely sowing seeds of doubt, as I like to say. So just something to be mindful of. Another way that this also potentially shows up is you could literally find that some kind of travel plan or transportation has a problem and or an issue. And if that is the case, I would say do the maintenance on your car. All right. For on October the 12th, Mars is going to come into the sign. So Mars moves out of the sign of Libra, where it's in its full, into a very strong position into the 8th house for you, which is occupied by Scorpio, if you are an Aries ascendant. So your ruling planet is coming into a space, or should I say coming into a sign at least, which is your sibling sign. Mars understands Scorpionic energy because Mars is the ancient ruler of Scorpio. When the world was smaller in its scope and our knowing and our understanding, Mars ruled, every planet ruled two signs. It had its masculine element and it had its feminine element, and Scorpio is the feminine element of Martian energy. So it's both in a sign that it knows because it's its rulership. So this is your sibling sign. In the 8th house, it's potentially comfortable because it's a natural space there, right? The 8th house is a conflict house. It's crisis, it's challenge, but it's also transformation, change, and healing. And so Mars is bringing the energy of action. And really, could be you getting really honest with yourself when it comes to anything to do with these matters. The 8th house is also other people's money. So there's potentially, situations arising around joint finances, other people's money, taxes, all the rest of it. Now, after the connection that it had in Libra to the South Node, now we have so that had started the release of something, whereas this is the point of no return, but it enables some kind of change. There's a chance that you might get really proactive about making money through passive means, but in an active way, if that makes sense. So for this, you've got the Four of Pentacles. So it definitely is about money and resources. You've got this with the Knight of Wands, okay? And then you've got this with the Two of Cups. So first of all, for those of you that are partnered, married, or in long-term commitments, there are going to be a lot of passionate conversations around joint finances around this sort of 12th of the month energy, and for the next 5 to 6 weeks, because Mars is going to be moving through the sign of Scorpio for that amount of time. But it starts here, and when a planet ingresses into a sign, that's where it speaks quite loud, okay? So I will say potentially here. Now, it looks like the problem that you have if you're in a partnership is one of you wants to save, one of you wants to spend. And it's like both of these approaches have a very specific goal in mind. There is something that you're collectively working towards, but you have different ideas about the best way to get there. And I gotta say, it might be wise for you to be on the ball with that, all right? Like to figure out a way forward collectively. Finally, on the 24th of October, the moon is going to conjunct Saturn at 0 degrees of Pisces, and these planets are going to trine the sun exactly at 0 degrees of Scorpio. This is 12th house, 8th house stuff for you. So it's a very deep spiritual connection, potentially a powerful realization of some sort. Moon Saturn is like deep responsibility, or potentially heavy moods around women, mothers, feminine figures in the life. It could also be, especially because it's in the 12th, there's an easy end to a difficult situation. So the Sun conjunct Mercury here means that all manner of paperwork, documents, taxes, inheritance might be coming up for you at this time. Larger sums of money and thoughts around larger sums of money might be to the fore at the time. It also suggests that you might have a smoother time navigating a crisis, and it's like the thing that you fear the most happening comes up, but it actually brings you peace instead of more fear or stress or whatever. For this, you've got the Ace of Pentacles, so there's a fresh start as a result of this, with the Six of Swords, okay, and the Ten of Pentacles. I mean, wow. First things first, because of the energies that come before, I wonder if this is, you know, for those of you that are single, you don't have to worry about joint finances. So this would be, you know, maybe potentially for you, this is the money that you're making from the connections that you have in your professional sphere. But because of all of this and these cards here, I feel like a lot of you may be deciding to move, or maybe for a select few of you, you're potentially moving in with a partner or moving them in with you. That Ace of Pentacles is a change of location and home. With the Six of Swords, that's potentially an international move or change of home or job. And then with the Ten of Pentacles here as well, this is finances and resources that are great. Like, this is good money making its way to you. There's a support here on a financial or a material level in some way, shape or form. You are getting that Moon Saturn trine the Sun in Scorpio, you know, Moon conjunct Saturn in Pisces, trine to the Scorpio energy of the 0 degree Sun, and then like Mercury is 3 degrees over from the Sun. This is powerful. And I really feel like this could be some kind of financial blessing or abundance that shows up for you at the end of the month. You know, don't knock it. Okay, and then finally, for your moons and your lunations, so we've got the new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Libra. This is the first one that we're going to have in this cycle, so pay attention to this one because you're going to get a heads up as to what you're getting for the next 18 months, right? What the stuff is that you're going to be dealing with, and for you that's the relationship sector. And this, you've got the gate 61 and inner truth. Interesting, because it's happening in your 7th house, and you've got the gate 61. 6 and 1 gives you 7, right? Which is 7th house. This really is about trusting your own inner wisdom, your own inner truth, your own inner guidance. But it's also that new moon solar eclipse is going to initiate you trusting yourself more moving forward. Especially in the context of relationships. And then finally, you have the full moon lunar eclipse on the 28th of October. And that for you is falling in your 2nd house of money, finances and resources. You've got the gate 29 and perseverance. And the message behind this card is yes to persevere, but it's also that your blessings are on their way. And another way that this card shows up as well, it shows you how to make something look effortless. And it basically says that something looks effortless when we take the effort out of it. And what I mean by this is, when it comes to your money, your finances, your resources, there might be something here that you're making way more difficult than it actually has to be. And that's the last eclipse in the sign of Taurus that we're going to have at least for the next another 9 years. So once you've had this one, that's it, right? It's going out with a bang, this series of eclipses, I've got to say. And I tell you what, personally, I can't fucking wait for it to be over. It's been one of the hardest, anyway. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Let me know in the comments how it shapes up. If you want to get your personal reading with me, I am now doing Astro Tarot one-to-one. So it's basically a Zoom call with yours truly. We're going to look at your 4 biggest transits that are coming up for you, talk about your chart a little bit, and then pull some cards to see where you need to go from here. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Take care, and I'll see you soon.